Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome along to the SFC interviews. This is episode number 74. Started off just doing these through the pandemic, really. Something to give myself, something to look forward to. And we've got Adrian Clarke here today. So how's things, Adrian? And of course, was it about 20 years since you played for the club? 21 years.
I can't believe it. I cannot believe it's that long. It's crazy. Yeah, I joined Stevenage in 2000. First game was against Arsenal, weirdly, in a pre-season friendly. And yes, I stayed till 2003. Absolutely loved it. But yeah, I can't believe it's so long now since I left the club. It's I had some great times there. Absolutely. Well, I enjoyed 2 seasons, not so much the last one.
That's right, and we won't really touch on the last season as much, but in regards to the, when you were brought in originally, you were brought in under Paul Fairclough, weren't you, as well? And what was it like playing under Paul, and what was it that kind of attracted you to move into the club in the first place as well?
Yeah, look, he's a character, Paul. Very persuasive in terms of trying to get me down to Broadhall Way. But I'd always admired Stevenage as a non-league club because it was such a good stadium and always very professional, well-run. I'd played there a few times in friendlies and stuff, and so I knew all about Stevenage and obviously the success they'd had in the FA Cups. So it was on my radar, but obviously I wanted to stay in the professional game originally. Yeah. I'd fallen out of favour at Southend, but I wanted to stay in the league, and I felt that I was good enough to stay in the league. But it was a difficult situation for me at the time, and I was a bit falling out of love with the game in the pro ranks. And you know what? I just started to get my eye on becoming a journalist in terms of having a career as a writer or broadcaster, and to do that, obviously, I needed to go part-time. And I'm telling you now, at that period in time, there was no better part-time club to join in the country than Stevenage Borough, of course, as they were known then. And that's what I did. I decided to go down that route. Paul played a part in persuading me that non-league was great fun and it was good standard and whatnot, and that I'd be well looked after. And I have to say, I was well looked after. I really, really enjoyed working under him. But yeah, he was a tremendous motivator, sharp guy, very clever. And actually, one of the better managers that I've worked with, definitely throughout my career. There's something about Paul Fairclough that's a little bit special, really. He's certainly unique, and his record shows that he's done pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, that was his second spell at the club, wasn't it? The first one was when he got the club to face off with Newcastle in the FA Cup, and that that story in itself was a brilliant story just for Stevenage, and well, not just for Stevenage, but for football as a whole, wasn't it?
That was amazing. Yeah, I loved it. I remember watching the game, and I knew 1 or 2 of the lads there anyway. Ryan Kirby, who I'd played with at Arsenal in the youth team. So yeah, it was fantastic, and that was definitely part of the character. I thought, well, look, if they can, take a team like Newcastle to a replay, they've got to be half decent. And they had some very, very good pros, good semi-pros. People who were good enough to play in the league, 100% good enough to play in the league, that basically had careers, outside of football. Nathan Bunce was there at the time, Robin Trott, Mark Smith, Sam McMahon, guys like this, Darren Hay,
DJ Campbell,
DJ came a little bit later, but a lot of the experienced guys had good jobs, didn't want to become professionals, but they wanted to play the highest standard they could. And I got to say that the level was good. We didn't really have any facilities. We trained in the sort of semi-dark at a local school. Pitches were rubbish. It wasn't easy. You didn't really get proper training in, but these were very good players. And that first season under Paul Fairclough, I really enjoyed it. Really did.
The first season, you were exceptional on that left midfield role that you were playing, and I think that was your best season for the club. I think you went on and you scored double figures, I think, if I believe correct.
I think so. I think I did. I mean, some of the stats that I read definitely chalked off a few of my goals. I remember getting to double figures, but I'm not sure that Soccer Base or Wikipedia have recorded those. But it was, I scored a lot of goals, but it was hard because I had, for the first time, I wasn't a professional footballer. I had to do a job in the day, and as a trainee sort of journalist at the time in the Southend Evening Echo. So I was knackered. and my body took a long time to get used to work, travel, train, home. It's not late at night, go home, do it all again. It was really hard, and I have to say I felt quite heavy-legged, and I didn't feel super fit in that first season. It takes a while, I think, to acclimatise to part-time football if you're not used to it. But yeah, the camaraderie was great spirit, and he just had a way, Paul Fairclough, of getting a good group of lads together to fight for the cause. And yeah, so many good memories. I mean, I remember early on, I think we won at Forest Green. It was a 3-2 game. We'd come
That
back.
was your first goal for the club was in that. It was only your second start as well, your second appearance.
I remember it, and I just remember he had ducked off to the changing rooms, and he waited there in the changing rooms for us. And he started sort of making this gesture. Basically, he was making a gesture to say that we had huge balls. You boys, you have got massive nuts, and I absolutely love it. And it's the sort of thing that only a few people can carry off, but sort of Paul did it in his own style, and it made you think like, he's a good guy, and he is a good guy. He's a really nice bloke, and that changing room was terrific. But yeah, loads of good memories from that first season, and yeah, it was. I think we finished 7th, but for me, we were better than that. We should really have been pushing for promotion, but yeah, I also I don't know if you remember, or you're probably too young, but we had a crazy game at Boston that season as well.
Was it 3-3 or something like that?
It was mad.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was the first red card of my career. I only got 2, I think. Yeah, I only got 2. But yeah, we were getting battered by Boston.
Yeah.
And I got sent off after about 30 minutes. A guy aptly named Jim Dick from Scotland stamped on me in a melee. Yeah. It was a sort of melee on the floor, and he stamped on my shin. And I just saw the red mist, and I got up and shoved him on the chest. But he went tumbling over, and Steve Evans was the manager at the time, and you can imagine
character himself.
You could imagine that he was letting the ref know that I should be sent off for that, and he gave me the red. And then someone else got sent off later in the game, and we were 3-0 down, and we came back to draw 3-3 with 9 men. Which was just bonkers, and it didn't reflect well on me because I was off the pitch, but it was definitely an unforgettable day, that one.
And of course, we were just going to your sort of debut, really, as well. Your debut was actually against Scarborough down here at Broadhall Way, or the Lamex as it's referred to now. So what do you remember about sort of the build-up to that game, and sort of when did you know that you'll be involved in that squad?
Yeah, I can't remember the game. I have to be honest, not really. It was all very new to me because I'd been used to obviously playing in the league, so playing in the conference was different. But I was excited. It felt good because I'd been a key player for Southend for a couple of seasons, but then change of manager, and I was absolutely banished. Had no chance of playing, so I basically was a forgotten man. Yeah. So to go to Stevenage, and Paul Fairclough put his arm around me, told me how good I was, and said, I'm going to make you the player that you can be, and I will get you back in the league. And I believed him, and he meant it as well. And I just felt good because I was suddenly a key man again, and I was a key man in a group of people that I really liked. So many nice people. I've rattled off some of the names already. Neil Ilman as well was another one. Sam Sodje came a little bit later, but so many good lads, and it was just fun, and I had fun. Because I'd fallen a little bit out of love with the cynicism of the pro game and the way that you sort of got treated, and to go to Stevenage where there were good people playing hard, really hard football, but good football. I would say that under Paul Fairclough at Stevenage is some of my happiest football memories.
And so we touched on, obviously, that was your debut, and we spoke a minute ago just about your first goal as well, the Forest Green game.
Yeah.
So how important was that to kind of get off the mark early and to have sort of an impact yourself?
Yeah, you always want to make an impression, don't you? And scoring goals. Obviously, I was a winger, so assists kind of was the currency that I worked in, but they didn't really record assists back then.
No.
So I've no idea how many I made, but hopefully a few. I think I did. But yeah, I wanted to get into double figures. I wanted to be a goal scorer, and yeah, I remember scoring that goal, and yeah, sort of coming onto the ball and sliding it in. It was part of a really good victory, and it was the catalyst really for some quite good goals. Really, I managed to sort of get a nice reputation for spanking a few in from long distance. Took a few pens as well. But yeah, it was just nice to feel like a key man for that team. And that's why I think I enjoyed it so much.
Okay, and of course, in that season, we went on and we had good FA Trophy run, didn't we, as well? We didn't get to the final that season. That was the following season. But I think we got to about the 5th or 6th round in that season. And then of course the following season we went on and we got to the final, and you were instrumental in that run to the final. And just on the day, I don't know what it was on the day. You might be able to tell me a little bit more about the run itself, and then why things kind of didn't just click on the day at Villa Park.
Yeah, we were a pretty good cup team, weren't we, back then? The second season was we were a bit more inconsistent in the league, but in the cups we were flying and had some great performances, some really big wins. Yeah, scored a few goals en route. And then I got injured actually just before the semi-final. I scored a goal against Dover, by which time actually. So what happened? We were flying in the cup, but not so much in the league. And Paul Fairclough, we just won 2 games. We were beating Forest Green in the league and in the cup.
And I think you had scored 3 goals in both of those 2 games as well.
I did, yeah.
2
well,
in the league and 1 in the
good
cup.
memory, yeah, exactly. So I was loving it. I was
Yeah.
absolutely loving it. And then suddenly, Paul, but we were, we felt that we were going to have a good end to the season, and it just was an absolute bolt from the blue. And on that, I started the next game. I think it was against Margate, who I ended up joining, and we won. And I played, and it was good. It was a good win under Wayne Turner. Yeah. And then the second game, Wayne had signed Scott Houghton, who I'd known from my time at Southend, and he'd played for Peterborough with Wayne when Wayne Turner had been there, I think. And he signed him and put him straight in the team. And I was a sub unused in only his second game. And I just thought there and then, I don't like this. This is really unfair, because I think I'd probably had the best purple patch of my career, maybe in the month or 2 leading up to Paul's dismissal. I'd been scoring a lot of goals, and I was an unused sub, and I just thought, oh, hang on a minute, I don't know if this is going to be the manager for me. So I got off to a really quite dodgy start with Wayne, and luckily I got back in the team because I played well, scored goals. Then I got injured, and then there was a race against time to be fit for the final against Yeovil. And to his credit, actually, Wayne Turner did pick me the week before, and then for the final itself. And yeah, it was exciting. It was a great build up. I mean, I remember being amazed at how many fans Yeovil had at Villa Park.
Yeah, there was heaps. I remember we went down there. Me, my dad, and my brother. We all went down there, and it was just a sea of green and white, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was. And I must admit, I thought there'd be more Stevenage there, because Stevenage and Yeovil, for me, they're not a huge different in terms of size, but it obviously captured the imagination down there, and it was we were completely outnumbered, weren't we, in terms of support? But do you know what? On the day, we didn't really turn up. We played okay. Not disastrously. We didn't play brilliantly at all. But the bottom line is that Yeovil team were one of the best non-league teams ever. They were outstanding under Gary Johnson. For me, when they went up that season, because they also went up that season, for me, they were playing League One standard football at times, or definitely they would have been at the top end of League Two that season. They were too good for the conference, and it was just one of those occasions where we came up against a team that were just too good, and that's why we got beat, which was disappointing. But yeah, it was a good ride to get there. I was gutted, because it would have been a real scalp to beat them in the final.
And of course, there were some really good players there. You touched on a few, but some of the captains as well. I think Jason Goodliff was captain when we got to the final there. And of course, you mentioned Sam. Sam was captain for a while. I think, was Robin captain for a bit as well? And
Rob Chott. Yes, Mark Smith. All good, all great lads. I mean, I was friends with all of them. Jason Goodliff came at the start of the second season. Great player, really top centre half at that level. Really sort of nice guy as well. very much in the mould of what I said earlier in terms of he was had a good career, a really good job at the time, but he could have been playing in the league, no doubt about that. But yeah, Goodliff was great. DJ Campbell had come through, Sam Sodje as well, John Dreyer, who was a brilliant lad. Tumble, of course, Tumble Dreyer. That's what we called him. And yeah, I became good friends with him. He was obviously sort of almost part of the coaching staff, really. But
he's gone on and he's been a sort of vital part of the coaching staff under Wesley, alongside Dino Mumrier as well. And in fact, his son is now on the academy at Stevenage anyway. Sam.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that. So yeah, no, I love John Dreyer. Yeah, great lad. We had some, really good players. I think Paul Fairclough had a good eye for a player. He always had a good eye for a player. A lot of the signings he made were decent. Paul Sturgis, I remember at left back, he was quite strong. Yeah. Simon Wormel was a good player. He was one they brought in. Jean-Michel Seguer up front. He was Kirk Jackson was a good lad as well. Came down from the north, but what Paul Fairclough did, and I think a lot of managers ignore this. He didn't just look at the player. He looked at the characters of the players and who would fit in well with one another. And I think he did his homework basically. And there's very few sort of oddballs or, people that were selfish that came into the club. Most of them really fitted in together. Another lad I should mention from my time at Stevenage, I'm still really good friends with to this day is Dean Martin. Now,
Stevenage, I spoke to Dean. Dean's obviously out in Iceland coaching now,
Yeah, well, Dean, he did the same, and he was married to a girl over there, and used to come over for a few months each season. And brilliant player, the fittest player I've ever played with. Actually, joint fittest, along with Nathan Jones, who's now the manager of Luton. But they were just machines, and he was doing press ups in the changing room, before games. He was just a beast, always looking to push himself physically. But really good player, but great lad, and we've stayed friends ever since. And it's just a shame. He lives in Iceland, so very rarely get to see him these days. But Dino, I'm sure Stevenage fans of that era remember him fondly. He was a bit of a favourite. Yeah, he's a bit of a favourite.
We still wanted to come back. I know when he went to Iceland, it was all about when he was playing out there. It was like, I'll return to Stevenage at some time, but we're still waiting. Dean, come on.
Well, I'm telling you what. If Alex Revell's doing a good job at the moment, stabilise the team, and it's going pretty well. I know the recent results not so good, but in the future, if there's a vacancy there, I hope Dino applies for it. He's a very experienced coach now, and I think he could do worse than bring him back to the club. So you never know. He'd be a great number 2, if not the number 1, because. What I do know about him is he pushes his players, and he makes them as fit as he used to be.
Okay, so we've touched on some of the players there. There was loads more as well. We can sit here, we could reel off the list for ages, but
good days,
plenty more. Of course, Mark West there, Simon Travis, just 2 more as well. Loads more. I just, you mentioned pretty much everyone else that was on my list already. So.
They were good. They were a good bunch. I should mention this. Have you ever heard of the tale of You're the Manager?
Yes,
Incredible. Yeah, I mean, for those that are unaware of this sort of story, in that second season, before Paul lost his job earlier on in the season. Stevenage were basically guinea pigs, and a production company, Indemol, who made Big Brother, they were commissioned to film a behind the scenes documentary. Basically, it was a cross between The Only Way Is Essex, Made in Chelsea, and a game of real life Football Manager. It sounds absolutely mad, but that was what it was. So basically, they would follow us in our lives at home. Shoot it like Towie or Made in Chelsea, but then there'd also be a football element to the show, and the controversial bit was that there would be the viewers would get to choose who played at the weekend.
I remember it because I was actually I used to have a season ticket, and I remember we were sitting in the main stand. We had a season ticket for about 20 something years, whatever it may be, 15 years, whatever. And I remember, I'm sure we could influenced the substitutions and stuff from in the stands as well.
That was on the agenda. Text in
Yeah.
from the stands for substitutions. It was pretty radical, but the club were on board with it. Phil Wallace was on board. It was basically going to be a club that would be adopted by the nation. And I'm telling you now, it would have been a big show. It would have been a big. They put a lot of effort into the pilot, which was really successful. And basically, they were ready to press go on the series, but Stevenage. I didn't want to do it. I put that out there. A lot of the older players, and I was probably one of the older players at that point, we didn't fancy it because I didn't want my sort of private life, out there in the public at large. But the younger guys like DJ and Sammy Sodje and the younger guys, Paul Armstrong, they were massively up for it and excited. But the bottom line was it went to an emergency meeting with the conference and the other clubs. Vote against it, and it basically they prohibited it going ahead. So that was it. But it would have been unbelievable. I'm sure of that. It would have been crazy, and it would have been the precursor to Towie to Made in Chelsea for all of those reality shows that we see now. And it's but Paul Fairclough, he was bang up for it. Let me tell you, and he would have been a great character in it as well. During the pilot, I have spoken about this before. During the pilot, one of the narratives was that I was just too chilled out. That I was a good player that was going well, but I was a little bit too relaxed, which is probably true. And he played up to it in terms of trying to G me up. And he hit me in the changing room. He gave me a slap before the game. In terms of, are you up for it today? And I'm like, I'm up for it. No, are you really up for it? Yeah, of course I am. And then he get in my face and sort of just give me a little dig around the chops, and I couldn't believe it. But it did rile me up, and I think I scored that day, and it was just crazy. And since then, I got to know Paul a bit after I retired, and he did fess up and say that it was one of his regrets actually that he did that. He remembered that he'd done it, and he felt very guilty about it. But basically, I think he just got caught up in the excitement of this potential TV series, which would have made spectacular viewing, I'm sure.
Yeah, it would have been brilliant. And we got some comments in the chat there as well. But there's quite a few people interacting at the moment. We've got one from Matt saying, "What's the photo in the background?" He wants to know what that is.
Oh, this one. This is the spirit of Arsenal. So this is a giant team photo of every player that ever played for Arsenal at Highbury in the Highbury era. So there's hundreds of players dating back from obviously the start of the 20th century all the way to the end. And I'm on there somewhere. I'm about that big. But there was a giant version outside Emirates Stadium when they moved, and it was there for about 7-8 years. It's down now, unfortunately, because it got damaged. But I managed to get a copy. So that's what that is.
Oh, okay. And he's also gone on and said, when you were in the youth team at Arsenal, this is kind of going off subject a bit, but did you play under Pat Rice? And if so, what was he like?
I did, yeah. Pat Rice was my youth team coach. He's a great guy. Like he's really nice. I bump into him, obviously not lately because we're not at games, but I have bumped into him many times, and he's a legend. And but as a youth team manager, he scared me a little bit. I must admit, he was a really hard youth disciplinarian. You couldn't get away with anything, and he was very demanding. But look, that's what young players need. You need a bit of the old stick. You need someone to bring you down a peg or two, to make you think that you haven't made it, to really G you up, and basically to tell you that you need to be better at this, and this. If you want to make it, you've got to work harder. And he was a very good youth team manager. A lot of positivity about Pat.
And there was one here from Russ as well. Just said he noticed that you played a couple of games for Rotherham in 1996 whilst on loan there. And he just basically wants to know, did you enjoy your spell when you were over in South Yorkshire as well?
No, unfortunately. I'm actually going to see them at the weekend. I'm going to the Barnsley Rotherham game for TalkSport. Rotherham, it was unhappy period. Very brief. To cut a long story short, they had a director of football at the time. His name escapes me, who'd been watching me, really liked me, and he signed me on loan. But the manager at the time was a guy called Danny Bagari. He's sadly no longer with us, but he basically didn't really know me, and I was thrust upon him. And first, as soon as I arrived, he called the hotel and said, "Right, I want you to play for me tomorrow night, straight in the team. Can you do a job in central midfield for me?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I can. I've not played there before. Not played there before ever. I mean, I did later in my career, but I was a winger, and he didn't need a winger. So basically, I think I played 2 games, and then I was sub for the next one because he didn't need someone in my position. So basically, I said to him, "You don't need me, and this is no good for me and my confidence sitting here on the bench for Rotherham." So I asked to go back, and that's what happened. So yeah, it was a shame. Because it's a good club, and I'd love to have made an impression there, but at the time, they needed a central midfielder and not a winger.
Fair enough. So we've touched on a bit of stuff there in regards to some sort of anti-Stevenage stuff or sort of non-Stevenage stuff there. But when you were at Stevenage, you scored against Barnet as well. And what were your memories of those derby games and being involved in them?
Yeah, because the new stand had been built behind the goal. And I remember the night we played Barnet, it was packed, absolutely rammed with Barnet fans. So yeah, it was good. And I didn't have a great relationship with Martin Allen, who was part of I think he was the manager at Barnet.
He was.
Yeah, 1 or 2 things happened that I don't want to go into, but I'm not his biggest fan. And so to score a great goal in a winning game against them, I think I definitely stuck it in the top corner and did make me feel quite good that night, I got to say. But yeah, Barnet games were really good. It was just had so many good memories of goals and good wins for Stevenage, but it went sour, and we should probably talk about that. It went sour under Wayne Turner because in my 3rd season, he basically took the club full time. But he took the club full time with a part-time bunch of players.
That's right. And I think you only made like 5 appearances in that season. 4 or 5.
It was horrendous. I couldn't train because basically there were no organised sessions for the evening. They would organise sessions during the day, 4 days a week, and I had a job. So I was never going to get picks, and it was I just felt completely frozen out. I wasn't the only one, but yeah, it was a different time. The club was moving in a new direction. But the results were shocking. Results were awful, and I was out of the team, and I just was really disliking it. And some of the supporters, because I always had a great relationship with the supporters at Stevenage, and there was a lot of people having a pop at Wayne Turner about why I wasn't playing. And on a match day especially, and it became embarrassing. So I felt a little bit emboldened to say, look, I should be in the team. I know that the training situation is not ideal, but I should be in the team. And he said, well, if you can't train, you're not in the team. I said, well, put me on the transfer list then. Put me on the transfer list. I don't want to go, but I think I've got to go. And he really took exception to that. And basically then he banned me from the stadium, banned me from match days. He banned me from training, even if I could go there. And he banned me from mixing with the lads. And he sent me to go to the local David Lloyd Centre in Stevenage. Twice a week. And then set up a rock hard program for me. But that wasn't it. He also got one of the staff members to stand next to me when I was doing each exercise to make sure that I wasn't slacking, that I was doing it. And it was all just to punish me, to basically force me to quit the club.
And then you went on loan, didn't you, to start with? Yeah.
On that, I said, I know that there are other clubs in the conference that want me. And he said, flat no. And then he said, I'll only let you go to a club in the division below. He said, Hendon, atop of the Ryman League, which was the division below back then, Hendon. He said, but they can't afford your wages. They can only afford half. I'm not going to pay the rest of it. So basically, he's trying to force me out. So I did it. I did it for a month, took half wages, went and played there. But during that month, I decided that I'd cancel my contract and join Margate on a free transfer in the conference. And that's what happened. It was a really bitter end to what had been a great time there. I loved it, but Wayne Turner, and to a lesser degree, the people around him, it really was Wayne Turner, just wanted to alienate me and force me out of the club. And I felt gutted. because I would have loved to have stayed for like 5-6 years. I really would.
And of course, it might have been a bit different. I'm sure it probably would have been under Wesley as well if you'd stayed under Wesley. And of course, Wesley, it's all kind of, you're not too sure. It could go either way, really, couldn't it? But Wesley went on and he got the club promoted from the conference and from League Two. And of course, we've kept that league stature as well now. So how important is that for Stevenage to have that league stature? And even this season, we've gone on and we've kind of secured that with 3 or 4 games to go.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, obviously, lucky escape last year. That was the one season to really forget for Stevenage, but got away with it with what happened with the pandemic, and full credit to. But what I loved, and I interviewed Phil Wallace on the radio actually at the time, and I loved what Stevenage were doing in the community. That was great. And there were no excuses for the performances on the pitch, but they were out there helping people out at the start of the pandemic. I thought it was brilliant. And to be fair, Stevenage have always been really good at that. And then, this season, fantastic. I mean, after a slightly dodgy start, Alex Revels is doing a great job. I mean, one of the tightest defences ever, isn't it? Probably in the history of the club. It's amazing. Not scoring a lot of goals, but it's been really pleasing to see them climb the league. Obviously, Southend looks like they're going to go down, which I'm heartbroken about. But for Steve, it would have been just unthinkable for Southend and Stevenage to go this year. But
conference,
but thankfully Stevenage more than safe. And look, next year, I mean, potentially, obviously, they'll be looking maybe at playoffs.
And of course, we've got Dean Wilkins there as well, helping out with Alex Ravel. And since Christmas, take the last 3 or 4 games and kind of put that to one side a little bit. But before that, we were on a really, really good run. I think we were unbeaten in 12. And Dean Wilkins has got to have a big impact there as well.
You'd have thought so, yeah. I mean, I don't know Dean. Obviously, I knew Ray Wilkins a little bit from sort of working on the radio. What a guy he was. Absolute ledge. But no, I don't know him or Alex really. But they've done a great job, because it was a squad that was struggling for confidence, couldn't score goals, couldn't pick up the points they needed to get away from the bottom. But suddenly it clicked, and a list I know has scored a lot of important goals. Recruited well in January. I saw it was really quite ambitious in terms of bringing in a good number of players to see you through for the second half of the season. So no, well done to everyone at Stevenage, and hopefully onwards and upwards now.
And of course, off the pitch, you touched on the work that the club done in the community as well. And how important is that? Because, I don't want to go too much, but on the back of the last few days and everything that's happened there, that the clubs are able to stay in touch with the fans and their local community. Yeah,
look, it's really good. I mean, I played for Arsenal when it was a smaller club, and we used to go out into the community, and do school visits and various things, and the players really enjoyed that. I don't think that kind of thing happens as much now at that highest level. But at Southend and at Stevenage, we did things like that. Less so at Stevenage because we were part-time, but great links with the local community. And you just felt like you knew the supporters. I'd always see friendly faces, the same people, same stewards. A lot of the same fans would sort of go home and away and hang out before and after. And you felt like you were part of something, part of a family, really. And I think players love that. Really, they really do. And Premier League, unfortunately, has gone away from that for obvious reasons. But the money, is obviously the big factor. They're global superstars now, aren't they? But I would like to see. I don't know whether it will happen, but after what's happened this week, my big hope is that in the future, maybe the government can intervene and enforce that football clubs throughout the pyramid have at least a 20% ownership from the fans. I think having fan representation on the board is hugely important, and I just think it's dangerous to give so much power to potentially one rich person that really doesn't might not always respect the traditions of the game or the club. So fan representation is massive, and that's why and this week has shown why. Absolutely, 100%. And what do you know about the 50+1 rule? Do you know much about that with the ownership? Sort of, how that might be possibly. Not a lot, no. Is that what they have in Germany? I think.
Yeah, the German one.
Yeah, the German model. Look, it's a good model. It obviously limits them in terms of financial firepower. So that's a problem, isn't it? If for prospective owners to grow and to make their money, if they can only own half of it, but having that say and having that input is massive for me. I don't think it has to be 50%. I just think a share of the club belongs to the fans and they have a voice, and their voice has to be heard at boardroom level, because I just think that we've seen it. A lot of football club owners don't understand their clubs, don't understand the game, and the history and the tradition. You need the fans there to tell them, to remind them, no, this is not going to go down well. So yeah, for me, it's a must, and I get the feeling that might be the way that we're heading here. It might be the best way to rein in some of the things that we're seeing at the very highest level.
Okay, we've got a few more questions. I know you've got to shoot in probably 5-10 minutes or so, but upon your retirement, of course, after having a couple of spells at lower league clubs as well, you moved into punditry and journalism, and you're a regular doing the breakdown show on Arsenal.com, the breakaway show, isn't it, as well? Is it breakaway or breakdown?
Breakdown.
Yeah. And of course, regulars on YouTube channels and things like that, talking about Arsenal and Talk Sport, BBC Radio Essex, doing sort of co-coms and commentary stuff for them. So did you always want to stay in football upon sort of retiring?
Oh, definitely, yeah. So when I was at Stevenage, I was at the Southend Evening Echo as a sort of junior news reporter, not on sport. But then actually Paul Fairclough put me in touch with a company in London that got me into sports, football journalism, very low level. But I've got Paul to thank for that as well. He put me in touch with a company, and I ended up working for them for years. And from there, I got the confidence to go freelance, and I've been doing it for years now. So I've been effectively been a football journalist for almost 20 years, which is mad, really, because I don't feel that old, but I am. Because I came out of the professional game at 26. So I'm 46 now. So it's 20 years. And I love it. I've been able to do a lot of writing, a lot of analysis now, obviously for the Premier League that I do, and for Arsenal. Radio work, co-commentaries, like you say. I enjoy them all, kind of in equal measure, really. So that's one of the dreams of being a freelancer, is you get to do a little bit of everything if you can, and that's what I do. So yeah, a bit of telly, a bit of radio, a bit of talking. Podcasts have been great, of course. So especially during the last year. So no, it's like football, really. Doesn't feel like a proper job. It feels like a sort of hobby that I get to do, that I get paid for. So I'm one of those very privileged people that absolutely loves going to work. So and I realised that not many people sort of get that feeling. So yeah, but no, it's been great. But yes, and in answer to your question, yeah, I always wanted to do it. I worked hard at school. I did A-levels in my spare time while I was at Arsenal to get sort of some qualifications. Went back to school when I was sort of too old to be there, and got those qualifications. So yeah, look, it's worked out all right. But it's a little bit like football. It's a precarious career. You can never be sure that from one week or month or season to another that job will still be there. So yeah, it's you've got to keep the standards up.
And of course, we've got a comment there from Russ. It's something I was going to ask anyway. Myself and Russ there, we do commentaries and co-commentaries on sort of YouTube and on Twitter, on a channel, Football Commentary Live, which we actually are doing alongside Barry Swain, a name that you might be familiar with from Talk Sport. And he's helping us out to get that off the ground. And is that a good way to get involved in sort of commentary, do you think?
Definitely, yeah. No, Barry's a good lad. Yeah, I do know him from doing some stuff for Talk Sport International with him. Look, do it. I mean, the best way, obviously, for co-commentators, they're normally ex-players, and it's a sort of clearly defined role. But to be a commentator, you've just got to practice. You've just got to practice, get into that flow. Listen to the best commentators and listen to the rhythms that they find and the way that they describe things. And And yeah, it can come. And if you've got that platform there, it sounds fantastic to get better and improve. And then you can go to people with your little show reel and whatnot and say, look, this is me, this is what I do. Is there any space? And yeah, what a career it is to be a commentator, because you get to go to some great games. And like you say, it's really, it's a fun job. So
Yeah,
talking about
absolutely.
football is fantastic. So no, I'd recommend it, but it's obviously a very competitive industry.
Yeah, for sure.
With some good people in there. And the problem is, commentators can keep going until they're quite old, can't they?
Yeah, for sure. There's some that are obviously in the 70s, 80s, etc. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but look, if you've got a passion for it, absolutely go for it. And yeah, everybody starts somewhere. Sam Matterface, all these guys. Clive Tilsley's, but obviously a bit older, but all of the well-known commentators that they all started off doing something similar.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know if we've got too much else to cover, but of course, you yourself came through the academy at Arsenal, and how important is it to give these youngsters an opportunity? The likes of Jack Smith at Stevenage, and of course Arsenal have got it themselves with the likes of Bukayo Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe, Eddie Nketiah as well.
Well, you know that you're a fan of Stevenage. You love the players that come through the ranks, don't you? You really want them to succeed. I think when I was just leaving, George Boyd was coming through.
That's right, he was
16-year-old, and really talented boy. Obviously, went on to have an excellent career. So Stevenage have got a habit of have done it as well. No, look, you've got to put investment into the academy. It saves you a lot of money. And it can make you a lot of money, can't you, if you can, develop those players and sell them. But yeah, from the supporters' point of view, you always want the homegrown players to shine and to do the business. So yeah, no, absolutely. And one thing about Arsenal, one of the reasons, obviously, I'm attached to them because of I was there for so long, from the age of 10 till I was 22. That bond grows, but also one of the reasons that I've stayed so fond of Arsenal is because they always give the younger players a chance. Always. Arsene Wenger would always do it. And that actually has been continued by Unai Emery and now Mikel Arteta. The academy's great. It produces, excellent players, but also that pathway is always there. And if you don't have a pathway, if you don't have evidence that you will give kids a chance, why would you then join them? Why would you go and join an academy that never gives the youth team players an opportunity? So for me, every club should be looking to use players from the youth team, because it attracts the very best 12, 13, 14-year-olds for the future.
All right. I know you've got to shoot in a minute. I think Russ wants to come in and ask a question as well. So let me just bring him up because he's in the stream now. I know he's just got one thing he wants to ask you, and then I'll probably let you shoot after that.
Hey, Adrian, you all right, mate?
Hello, Russ. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I just want to ask you a question because I know you've probably seen Leeds this season when you've been working on Arsenal.com. I just wanted to know what your thoughts is on Leeds this season under Bielsa now we've done in the Premier League so far.
Leeds are brilliant. Absolutely loved watching Leeds. They've been fantastic. Yeah, I got to see them quite a lot in the Championship and working for TalkSport, and they were so exciting, weren't they? And they've carried on. I just love the fact that Bielsa didn't change the style, just carried on being attack-minded. The man-to-man marking. It's got its flaws, but it's good to watch. And when it works, Leeds are one of the hardest teams to play against in the Premier League. Definitely. Like, they're a nightmare to play against. So, yeah, congratulations, I think, for a brilliant first season. What I want to see now is obviously Bielsa stay. I'm sure you do. And then for them to maybe bring in some better quality individuals, guys, because he's very loyal, isn't he, to the players. But if he can bring in better quality defenders, so like the goalie, I think he's really good, better quality defenders, and someone to compete with Bamford, can do even better next year. I think maybe push for a European place next year. So he's a great coach. Just hope.
At the beginning of the season, I predicted Leeds to finish 12th in the Premier League this season, and a lot of mates were saying, "You won't finish 12th. You'll get relegated. You'll get relegated. You'll get relegated." And after the draw with Liverpool on Monday, we've mathematically secured our Premier League status for next season.
Yeah, exactly. Easy. It's not even been a problem, has it? You haven't had to be nervous at all.
And these last 5 matches that we've played, which we've included likes of Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool in there, along with Sheffield United and Fulham, we're unbeaten.
Yeah, got to beat Man United next time, though, haven't you? Next time out, got to win that one.
This Sunday, yeah, hopefully we can.
Exactly. Well, I'll be cheering you on. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. I think most people will be, to be honest. And just finally, I want to leave it just briefly with Arsenal, Adrian. Of course, we've got I'm an Arsenal follower as well, so I will kind of refer to Arsenal as we a little bit, as well as Stevenage, because I follow Arsenal too. But there's the Europa League final next week, and it's Arteta against Emery. It's going to be massive, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, really. Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I mean, Unai had a better record, didn't he, statistically than Arteta has got. But I did feel that the team was in a bit of a mess when he left. You know, confidence was low, and defensively they were a little bit all over the place. But for me, he's a smart manager. Just it was the communication. He couldn't speak English well enough to get his messages across, and that impacted his effect on the players, in my opinion. So for me, I think he's a really smart coach. And this, it should be a fascinating tie. Arsenal should win if they play to their potential, but got to cut out these mistakes, haven't they, at the back, and hopefully they can find a way without Lacazette and Aubameyang, because if they're unavailable, a lot will rest on Martinelli, on Pepe,
Eddie and Hetio as well. Yeah.
Bukayo Saka, who's been under pressure obviously all season. So look, these guys are going to have to step up. But look, over 2 legs, I think it'll be pretty close actually. But I back us. That performance against Slavia Prague was outstanding. If they repeat that level, they will beat Villarreal, and they've got a good chance in the final. Like Man United don't scare me, and Roma neither really. I'd rather play Roma. I have to say. But look, it is a possibility. Even Arsenal are not a perfect team. There's a lot of flaws there at the moment that need improving, but they are still good enough to win the Europa League if they play to their potential. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting few weeks. I'm just glad after what's happened this week that we can just start to think about football again and the actual matches.
That's right. And, of course, on Friday there's the game as well, isn't there? And the Kroenke protest and stuff as well. I'm not going to touch much into that. I know, you know, you'll have your opinion. I've got my opinion. Everyone's going to have their opinions on that. But it's going to be a distraction for the players, you know, like it has been with Tottenham and like it was with Chelsea yesterday, no doubt, as well.
Yeah, but the players, at least the players know where they stand now. It's not happening. They can focus on Everton. And yeah, I don't think there's any excuse. Obviously, getting into the ground, we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure the police will be there. But look, the protests are not against the players. They're not against the team. We all know who the protests are against. And fans always have a right to protest, of course. And I hope that they'll be allowed to do so, you know, obviously in a sensible way. So no, it shouldn't impact the game, shouldn't impact the players. And yeah, hopefully it doesn't all kick off and that we end up just talking about a good Arsenal win on Friday night.
Okay, so I'll let you shoot off now, Adrian. So thank you for joining and doing this afternoon. And I'm sure I'll see a lot more of you across, the YouTube channels that I follow, and across hearing you on TalkSport as well, and of course on the breakdown show with Arsenal as well. I'm sure I'll probably see you on there come Friday night. So
exactly, yeah. No, looking forward to it, and yeah, hopefully, look, I can get down to the Lamex, as you call it now, or Broadhall Way is what I'll always call it. Get down there soon and watch a game, you know, with fans there. That would be absolutely fantastic. So next season, it's on my sort of to-do list. Get back down to Stevenage and give them some support, because yeah, I always want Stevenage to win.
All right, cheers, Adrian. Thanks a lot, mate.